Get ready for a revelation that can shake the foundations of what you always believed it was love. Close the eyes for a moment and imagine your story. Where and how your journey took place, crossed paths with the person who walks today by your side. Most people believes in casual encounters, in pure coincidence, in simple luck or bad luck. But what if this love story, with all its joys and challenges, was already written long before you are born? What if the soul that you kisses every morning, the soul with who you share bread and shelter with, whether also a soul you have already met in another life, in another time, in a completely scenario different? In this video, we will unlock the doors of the Temple of the Soul to unveil the hidden secrets behind the alliances. Let's dive into the current invisible that unites two destinies, understanding that marriage is not just a social pact, but a sacred, one spiritual commitment. Your relationship is actually a field of evidence, a laboratory of the soul, where forgiveness, patience, and liberation are the element's main ones. What if I told you that the person you love most is also the person you need most to evolve? The answer to that question is not in the words, but in the depths of your heart. Stay with me, because what we are going to reveal today can change the way you live forever. To live and to love. Spirituality shows us, without shadow of doubt, that the universe does not operate with coincidences. Nobody enters your life by mistake, and the conjugal union is of the clearest evidence of this. The marriage is the reunion of two souls who have forged deep bonds in other stocks. Think about it for an instant. Among billions of beings, humans, why was it exactly this person who crossed your path and stayed? It was not the impulse, nor the fleeting desire, and much less simple physical attraction that brought them together. What brought them together was a silent call, a need of learning and repair that own soul recognizes. Your partner today may have been your traveling companion in a distant past, or in some cases a rival, an aggressor, a challenger. The life, in its infinite wisdom, puts the souls back in the same path, for the wounds of the past can be cured and the debts paid. Your spouse is a mirror, powerful, a clear reflection of his own soul. It does not merely reflect your most beautiful qualities, but also their shadows, their imperfections, and their hidden fears. What irritates you most about the other person, the flaw that bothers you the most, is often your own shadow being designed. Marriage is a call for you to look within of oneself. Many relationships start as a fairy tale, full of passion and expectation, but time, which is the greatest teacher in life, reveals the true purpose, evolution. The happiness, seen from the point of view spiritual, it is not an end goal, but a consequence of growth. The soul you chose as your spouse is in fact an instructor in disguise who will teach you the lessons most valuable, those that your pride insisted on not learning. And what happens when marriage looks more like a battlefield than a refuge? What to do when the relationship is marked by conflicts, silences, hurts, and coldness? The higher wisdom shows us that difficulties in your relationship are not a punishment, but an opportunity divine. In daily life, the patience is tested every minute, the humility is put to the test in the face of imperfection of the other, and forgiveness becomes the only bridge to peace. The differences between you are not an error, but a strategy of the universe, so that they learn to give in, to respect, and to love without conditions. Every conflict, every disagreement, every word that hurts is a tool of polishing for the spirit. Without the friction of coexistence, without the shock of personalities, the soul would remain parked, trapped in its own illusion of perfection. Marriage is the most demanding school on the planet, where most important matters are taught. The love that is cultivated in the midst of storms is love true, for it transcends the appearance, it supports what it needs be supported, and it transforms what needs to be transformed. The truth is that before reincarnating, our soul, with the necessary lucidity, choose the lessons you need to live. And often the most urgent lesson is learn to love yourself through love for the other. The soul accepts the challenge to live with the other so that both can walk together on a path of growth. The love that is cultivated in marriage does not born from nothing. It is the result of a constant and conscious effort to understanding, acceptance, and surrender. He demands from us a donation that goes beyond of what we are capable of, a renunciation constant to our ego and our pride. And it is in this process of die to self that the true love, the one that is able to heal and free, reveals himself. He who loves does not really require the other change. He loves even when the change does not come, because he knows that love itself is the greatest tool for transformation that exists. Marriage is not a harbor safe, but a sea of deep waters where we are tested day after day. What if your journey is not to always? What happens to the loop spiritual? Separation does not break the soul bond. It just changes the form of the lesson. Soul that leaves without having learned what needed will be called back in another life to try again. The life doesn't bring anyone together by mistake and does not allow the lesson to be diverted. Divorce, when necessary, is not the end of the journey, but a new stage on the path of learning. The bond spiritual remains, the lessons remain configure otherwise, and the reunion will happen again in a distant future. Your partner today may have been your opponent from yesterday, and is, certainly, your greatest mentor. If you look at him with compassion and understands that he is also in his own journey, full of fears and mistakes, you are touching the essence of divine law. Surrender, patience, and the ability to love, even with the open wounds, is what builds the invisible wings for your spirit. Marriage is a harvest. If today you are reaping challenges, perhaps the seed sown in the past has not been of light. But if you plant now love, patience, and forgiveness, even in an arid soil, a sacred flower will emerge in your life, transforming all their existence. The union between two beings is not just the union of two bodies, but of two consciences. It is a pact of help mutual for the progress of both. Your marriage is not a prison, it is an invitation to your greatest liberation, freedom from pride, selfishness, vanity. When you learn to love the another as he is also loving the yourself and healing what in you still needed light. Married life, with all your difficulties and joys, is an altar of sacrifice and rebirth. Every tear shed there, it will be collected by mercy divine, and every gesture of love, even that is not reciprocated, will be recorded in the book of your soul for always. Remember, your heart has the strength that you need for this journey. Your soul chose this mission. May the peace of the high guide you, and may love be your greatest compass. The real marriage begins when the soul decides not to give up yes. May the bonds become light, may the silence becomes wisdom, and may pain turns into compassion. If this message resonated with you and touched your soul, leave the phrase in the comments, I choose to evolve. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of light. A couple's journey is not meant to be a straight line, but a spiral of growth. There are sunny days, but also rainy days, silent days, and days of noise. And each of these moments is part of your spiritual artwork. Marriage is a work of reformation, intimate with an indefinite term, and as every renovation makes noise, raises dust and touch where it hurts. But in the end, everything becomes clearer, lighter, and more true. The High Spirit does not wait for the other to change in order to love. He loves even when there is no change, because you know that love is the leaven of every transformation, and sometimes it takes entire lives until this yeast take effect. The real winner does not is the one who wins the battle, but one who keeps himself in peace. Married life is a constant invitation to inner freedom. The spirit does not home to be happy, he home to be whole, to see oneself in the other and realize where patience is still lacking, humility and tolerance. The joy that from this wholeness is born It is not temporary like the happiness of the world, but lasting as the peace from above. Don't curse the past. Don't deny the good times. They were real, and even what hurt was part of the journey. Forgiving your spouse, even after separation, is also to free oneself from cycle of resentment. The pain is often the alarm that wakes up the conscience. What is hurting points out what needs to be healed. If you want to change your marriage, change it. Yourself. If you want more love, love more. If you want more understanding, understand more. It all starts with you. Loving those who love us is easy, but loving those who challenge us is path of redemption. Love without conditions, without expecting a reward, without needing that the other changes. That is true love that elevates. And only this love transforms the bond in liberation. With each gesture of love in marriage, you are rewriting your spiritual destiny, erasing old debts, planting light on the ground where there was once pain. And one day, this light will be so strong that no one conflict will be able to erase it. Love will win, as he always has. Every soul that hurts you is also wound. Every harsh gesture, every word cold, every absence that hurts you, everything this says more about the other's pain than about you. Marriage requires compassion, even when the heart asks for it distance. The other can be a mirror cloudy of its shadows, and every time he irritates you, maybe he's just showing what still needs to be looked at in silence. Marriage is a responsibility spiritual. It's not just about living together, but to evolve together. Life charged not for comfort, but for growth. Coexistence is the field more honest for the soul to reveal itself. There are couples who live in war cold, but behind the silence, there is an unresolved pride. In this game, both lose, because no one wins when the heart closes. Love is not to win. To love is to surrender. And surrender, the deeper one, is the one that accepts the another as he is, without wanting to mold him to our ideal. You can love someone and still feel pain. This is not failure. This is humanity. True love coexists with frustration, with boredom, with the challenges. He is not the absence of problems, is the presence of commitment, even in the face of all the difficulties. The difficult spouse today, you can be the enlightened friend of tomorrow, because love builds bridges invisible between the worlds, and what you sow now, reap later. You are not with this person by chance, and even if life separates them one day, this experience will never be in vain. Everything you experienced there will remain recorded in the book of your soul. And the spirit looking back will be grateful even for the pain. Some relationships are like storms. They come to clean what was stagnant. They don't last forever, but they leave everything behind, different after they pass. The marriage may not last, but it can open a portal to consciousness awakened, mature and stronger. If the others do not recognize you, recognize yourself same. If he ignores you, value yourself, but not with anger, with self-love. Because those who love each other do not demand that another change the way of being, relate to pain, to time, to the story itself. Freedom is not in the civil state, is in the spiritual state. And only those who forgive, understand, and free is truly free in any situation. You can choose to continue, you can choose to leave, but choose with conscience. The mature spirit does not act by impulse. He reflects, feels, prays, and listens to the voice of the soul. And whatever it may be your decision, may it be guided by light and not by haste or pride. Marriage is a sacred field. It is there that the soul is put to the test everyday days. And whoever remains faithful to the learning, even bleeding, is building invisible wings to fly higher one day. Until then, love, despite everything. Gratitude for having walked this far, soul dear. May the light of understanding touch your consciousness as the sun touches the dew, without noise, but with depth. Marriage is a school sacred, where the spirit learns to be love even without applause. You can have entered this marriage with doubts, can still carry pain, guilt, or resentments. But remember, if you are there, It is because there is something divine to be lived, healed, or ended with dignity. Nothing that God allows is in vain. Everything is lesson, and the love that springs up in you will not must depend on the other to exist. That he is born of the awakened spirit that choose to love as a mission. I leave it here, a blessing to you, your story, and for those who walk beside you, whether by choice or by karma. May the bonds become light, may silence become wisdom, and that pain, finally, transform into compassion.